Well, hello, everybody. Professor Michael Smith here, and welcome to the introductory course video for two courses, PO 441, Campaigns and Elections at Emporia State University, and POLS 660, Campaign Management at Fort Hays State University. In addition, this class may occasionally be offered at Emporia State at the graduate level with a 700 number. And that graduate level will be more similar to the Fort Hays State course, but stay tuned for more information about that. Once again, I'm the professor, Michael Smith. I like to make these first week of class videos just to make the class more personal. This is an asynchronous online course. You do not need to come to any classroom or Zoom in at any particular time. There are due dates for assignments. We'll get into those here in a bit. But generally speaking, you work at your own pace, and that can seem a little impersonal sometimes. So I like to make these videos just so you know that this class is not being taught by an AI bot. It's taught by a human being. That would be me. And welcome everybody to the class. I really enjoy teaching this class. If you look in the background, right back there, you can see just a little snippet of my political memorabilia collection, some buttons there, and then there's an old ballot bag from the 1970s where they used to put paper ballots and seal it with wax. There's a precinct captain credential hanging there, all kinds of different goodies that I've collected ever since I started collecting at 14 years old. I really do love this stuff, and I hope you do too, and that's why you took the class. But at the same time, you're going to want to know, what do I need to do for my grade? And all of it's on the syllabus. So let's just dive right in right now and have a look at that syllabus. And here we go. This is the course syllabus for the Emporia State undergraduate version of the course. The Fort Hays State is very similar until we get to that last piece, which is the undergrads at Emporia State will write a term paper, whereas the graduate students at Emporia State and all of the students at Fort Hays State, because it's a political management class, even the undergrad version, you all will write a campaign plan. I will discuss the campaign plan at the very end so that the undergrads at Emporia State can hop off the video at that point. They don't need that piece. And it'll be a little bit shorter video for them. And those of you who are writing the campaign plan, stay on and learn about that assignment as well. But let's start with the fundamentals of this syllabus in this class. Again, asynchronous online, you don't need to zoom in at any particular time. And everything's grouped into modules. Then, as a matter of fact, that this class defaults to modules in both Canvas for Emporia State and Blackboard for Fort Hays State. Well, actually, there's a special homepage for Emporia State, which walks you, there's the modules right there, it walks you through them. It'll look slightly different in the Blackboard shell for Fort Hays State, but you get the idea. Let's go ahead. You can walk through the modules one at a time if you would like, but let's go ahead and just get right to it by going straight to first the syllabus, and then we'll look at the modules. Now, first of all, this document right here, this docx file, this is the syllabus of record. That means this is the syllabus that gets turned in. This is the official syllabus of the class as far as university administration goes, and it stays the same throughout the semester. However, what you're looking at here that we can scroll through that I've cut and pasted in, this is a dynamic syllabus. If necessary, if we need to adjust some due dates or something like that, this is where the changes will be made. This will stay the first week of class syllabus of record, but this part, the cut and pasted part, can be adjusted as necessary. We probably won't make a lot of adjustments, but that's just in case. And oops, I just noticed a typo on there. I'll fix that. This gives class times. I accidentally carried that over from another syllabus, but here's something I do want you to look at. This does apply to you. This would be the office hours. And take a look at that for the semester you're in. This is for the semester I'm recording this, which is spring 2024, but I may reuse this video if the class goes well. And so you're wondering, well, but this is an online class. What do you mean office hours? Well, I have office hours on Zoom. All you've got to do is email me. This is my preferred email address. If you're a Fort Hays State student, you can email me at my Fort Hays State address. It may take me a little longer to respond. I prefer my Emporia one. And so that's the go-to email address. And again, we don't have class times. That's a typo I'll fix after I record this video. But just be aware, yes, you may schedule an office hours appointment with me. Just email me and set that up and we'll have it on Zoom. So those are available to you as a distance learning student. Just know that. This course focuses on how voters decide and how effective political campaigns are run. It is a readings-driven course with 3 books and 1 ebook. And we're going to talk about information shortcuts, micro-targeting, calcification, and more in this class. It fulfills a major requirement: history and government at Emporia State and political science at Fort Hays State. And again, it's asynchronous and online, except we can meet on Zoom if you schedule a Zoom office hours appointment. Pretty straightforward grading scale there, except that Fort Hays State for grad classes does not use pluses and minuses. ESU does for undergrads, and so we'll be using those. A little bit more information you can read. Now, for the undergrads in PO 441 at Emporia State, you're going to write a term paper. That will be due at the end of the semester. I want you to pick an election for U.S. president before 2008. I want you to use credible sources. I want you to use material from the class syllabus, and credible, reliable sources. Could be print, could be online, could be both, to research this. And there'll be more details later, and it'll be on Canvas. It'll have its own modules, 7 to 10 pages. We'll go ahead and do turnitin.com just to do a real quick plagiarism and AI check. We don't do AI in this class. I'm old school. The bottom line is you'll write about an older presidential election for many of you younger students, maybe even before you were born or when you were a toddler or a baby. So kind of get outside your comfort zone a little bit and bring in the ideas like Popkin's information shortcuts that we cover in this class and make them part of the discussion. Now, there's a different assignment for political management and graduate students, but we'll save that for the end. All right, academic dishonesty, pretty standard here. On each syllabus, I have live links. So if you just click that, you can see that it just goes right into the Emporia State Academic Dishonesty Policy. At the Fort Hays State syllabus, it'll go to the Fort Hays State policy. Lots of live links on this syllabus where you can get more information. And again, I have some colleagues doing some really creative things with AI in their classrooms. I commend them for that. But I'm old school, so we're just going to say AI is academic dishonesty. And for short written assignments like the little essays that go with multiple choice quizzes, we won't worry about it. I'll just trust my gut if something looks suspicious. Chances are it won't, because most of my students don't do anything academically dishonest. I bet you won't either. But just in case, we get that one joker that tries something, we're going to go ahead and use turnitin.com for the book reviews and the term papers and the campaign plans, just as an AI and plagiarism check. But I don't anticipate many problems. So let's just move on. Accommodations are available to you on both campuses. And primarily what that means is that I strive to make the Canvas and Blackboard shells for this class accessible, so that you've got access in terms of screen readers and things like that. They even have a little gauge on there, and I always go for the green full tank logo that says that this syllabus and these class materials are accessible. If you hit any snags with accessibility, contact me right away. Again, my email's at the top of the syllabus, and we will get that solved. Absolutely. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have an inclusive classroom here. That means being respectful in our online class discussions. And that's not only respectful across lines, there shouldn't be lines, but across the sometimes perceived lines of race, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, nationality, but also being respectful of people with differing political views. We can disagree without being disagreeable, as they say. So let's go ahead and cross that line too and be respectful of people that may have different politics than we do. We can still have a productive and enjoyable conversation. Of course, we don't tolerate or condone discrimination around here, and I follow both campuses' policies. This is the Emporia State syllabus, so it hyperlinks you to the Emporia State website with more information. Fort Hays State syllabus does the same for FHSU. Faculty-initiated student withdrawal. I'm very pleased to say that in all of my years of teaching, I have never had to remove a student from a class on campus or online for being disruptive. That's great. And I anticipate this will continue because Emporia State and Fort Hays State students are kind and respectful people. I may, however, crack down a little bit, and this is kind of an issue with these asynchronous online classes, on students that do absolutely no work whatsoever. If we get to midterm time and I haven't heard from a student, there's been no traffic on the discussion board from them, they haven't done any assignments, nothing, I may go ahead and remove you from the class. There's no need for you to be in there. You're not doing any of the work. And so if you start to fall behind, contact me and let's make a plan to get you caught up. I will accept most assignments. Pardon me, accidentally clicked something I didn't mean to click. I will accept most assignments late. However, it's better to stay caught up. I do not accept class discussion late. Class discussion needs to be turned in on time. The way I look at it is, if you were taking a face-to-face class, you wouldn't walk into an empty classroom several hours after a class had been held there, talk to yourself, and then expect for the professor to assign you points for class discussion. Likewise, when we have discussion boards on Blackboard and Canvas, that those are meant to be back and forth discussions among you all, the students, and that can't happen if you're posting late. So I'm pretty strict about class discussion needing to be posted on time. Other assignments I will be willing to take late as long as all work is in by the last day of class for the semester. So, however, I recommend staying caught up, or if you start to fall behind, catch up right away rather than letting it snowball. Here's a little bit of information about me, but you may not be all that interested in that information, and that's totally fine. That's just there if you're curious. I also have a website, personal one, hyperlinked at the top of the syllabus. If you want to learn more about who's teaching that class, check it out. And if you don't, just skip it. I'm full-time at Emporia State, and then I moonlight for Fort Hays State. Enough said. The Emporia State syllabus has a basic needs statement, number of resources available to you and to ESU students. I think Fort Hays State has something similar, although there's no syllabus language on that. But these are all live links. All the blue you see are all live links. Just click it and it'll take you right there. There's the free legal counseling, for example, at Emporia State. How about our readings? Well, at the beginning of each unit, which corresponds to a book, or in one case, an ebook, I will have another video, shorter than this one usually, which will introduce you to the book. And so we're going to do these books. And I won't go into detail about them because there are other videos in the respective modules that go over the respective books to get you primed to go ahead and dive in, read the books, and take the reading quizzes that go with them. For each book, there's a reading quiz after every chapter, or in some cases, groups of 2 chapters, which you will answer after reading the chapter. The quizzes have no time limit, but you only get 1 shot to take them, and they are reading quizzes. Some are all multiple choice. Some also incorporate an essay with the multiple choice. You'll take those, and then when you're done reading the book, you will write a book review. And I give you some instructions and a template for those book reviews. And well, you go ahead and use turnitin.com just as a check. Go ahead and upload those, and I'll get those graded. So it's reading-driven, book-driven learning, along with posting on class discussion boards. In general, what happens with these books is as follows. First of all, we're reading these books conceptually. They're loaded with fun anecdotes about political campaigns, particularly for U.S. president, in a few cases for some other races as well, like U.S. Senate. And most people that take a class like this really enjoy the anecdotes, including the older ones. This goes as far back as the early 1970s and goes as recent as the 2020 presidential election. And so, in addition to all the fun anecdotes and stories about these campaigns, we want to look for the fundamental concepts. Like Samuel Popkin has concepts including information shortcuts and low information rationality. So even as you're enjoying all those old, what we call war stories in politics, be sure you're looking conceptually too for those ideas as well. Sasha Eisenberg's core idea is called micro-targeting. And there's more great information about political campaigns and stories, but there are also some good information nuggets about the history of my discipline, political science, in that book. Well worth reading, but also be sure you're getting the whole gist of the book, which is this concept of micro-targeting. And then we come all the way up to the 2020 presidential election, and Sides, Tosanovich, and Vavrik, they've got, again, lots of good anecdotes about the 2020 presidential election, both the primaries and the general election. And their core idea is called calcification. And that is one of the learning outcomes for this, along with micro-targeting and low information rationality. So look for those core concepts, but also certainly look for all the examples from different campaigns and the stories and so forth. Some of these quizzes I write to go with books also include hyperlinked videos that go along with the reading. And oftentimes they're actually videos that are mentioned in the reading of things that happened. And then there's a fourth book. It's actually an ebook. It was not ordered at the ESU or FHSU bookstore. It is called The Science of Trump. It's available only on Amazon. It only costs $5, and all the money goes to a nonprofit. It's a blog called The Monkey Cage, where political scientists post about current events, the political science perspectives. So super inexpensive. Absolutely fascinating information. This really pertains more to the 2016 presidential election. And so be sure to get that. If you have any trouble getting it, email me, I'll help you. But very inexpensive. And it's loaded with good political science information and information from some other social science disciplines as well. Well worth a read, and really short chapters in that one. And I even created a URL where you just click it and you go right straight into Amazon where you can buy that. It's just $5. I didn't order it at the bookstore because it's not available as a hard copy. You have to order it this way. Just click that and $5 and you're in. And it's well worth a read. So, having told you a little bit about what to expect, there's one other thing I want to mention, which is that the way the units are structured, on the examples from political campaigns, we start a while back, early 1970s, Nixon-McGovern was that presidential race, and then we gradually work our way up to the current day. So this one goes from the 70s to 1992. This one will take us into the early 2000s and early 2010s. This is 2016 focused, but there are also a lot of more general concepts. And then finally, we come all the way up to the most recent presidential election, 2020, with Sides, Tosanovich, and Vavrik's The Bitter End. So just as you start the Popkin book, which is the first unit, and you notice that the examples given are old, don't panic. If you're thinking, no, I want current examples, don't worry, we're going to work our way all the way up to the present day. We start early and then we work our way up to modern day. So no worries about keeping the material current. But some of these classics are still very much worth a read. And ideas like low information rationality are still relevant today, maybe even more relevant than ever, what with social media and all that kinds of stuff. So again, do the reading, answer the reading questions, quizzes, write your book review, And don't forget to post on the class discussion board. I hope you'll post at least 3 times, including one longer post starting a new discussion, new line of discussion, I should say, for full credit. And don't wait until before they're due. Now, I do make these assignments due on Sunday evenings, but if you try to do it all that Sunday, once every 3 weeks or so, you're going to be really, really slammed that Sunday because we're talking about a whole book. So with Popkin, which is a little shorter, you've got 3 weeks. And then with a longer book like the Victory Lab, you've got a whole month. So don't put it off till that Sunday. Work your way through the book chapter by chapter, answering the questions on the quiz and keeping up with your classmates on the discussion board, and it'll be much less stressful. And then once again, we wrap things up on April 21st. And for the undergrads at Emporia State, you'll write that term paper I was just talking about. I hope this information is helpful. Now, here's what we're going to do. We can wrap things up. Oh, by the way, things are grouped into modules here. And so you go to the modules, they're getting started module. Here's the first module, including the course introductory video. That's an earlier one I'm about to replace with this one once it's recorded. And some more tips. And we're going to have an icebreaker conversation just to get things going. That's Emporia State only, honoring Dr. Martin Luther King on the week of Martin Luther King Day. And then we'll dive into these modules. And as you can see, they're not all published. I need to update the material, proofread it, make sure it's current because it's carried over from previous semesters. But you'll see it pop up. Right now, the module on Popkin is ready. And then I'll just do a little bit of updating and proofreading and then publish these future modules. And we'll work our way all the way through here. All right. If you are an undergrad in PO 441 at Emporia State, you can probably hop off right now. If, however, you are an honor student at ESU, a grad student at ESU, or all students at Fort Hays State, undergraduate and graduate, stay on the video because you have a campaign plan assignment. So let's go over that. And I just realized I may have a bit of a tricky problem here. All right, here we go. Let me re-screen share to make sure I'm screen sharing with the right syllabus. That to do it. Okay, here is the syllabus, very similar for Fort Hays State. Different links, obviously, different candidates. But let's get into that. Let's get into that. Where is it? That campaign plan assignment. Instead of a term paper as a political management and or graduate and or honors student, you're not going to do that term paper. You're going to do a campaign plan. You've got an additional book to buy. It's Burton's Campaign Craft. Used copies and older editions are acceptable. They're very inexpensive. Just be sure to get Burton's Campaign Craft. And that's for your campaign plan assignment. It's going to be a little longer, 10 to 15 pages long. And look here, do not make general arguments about the importance of a good campaign manager, value of concise talking points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to do something much more specific. I want you to choose a specific person and a specific office, a state and local office. We're not running for U.S. president here. We're not running for governor. We're not running for Senate. The highest level office you can do is U.S. House of Representatives. But I would encourage you not even to shoot that high. Think about school board, mayor, county commission, city council, those kinds of local roles, the kind of elected offices where candidates still knock on doors and go to PTA and Chamber of Commerce meetings. That's what I'm talking about. I want you to pick a real person, and it cannot be yourself. You know that old adage, the lawyer who represents themselves as a fool for a client? Well, the candidate that runs their own campaign also has a fool for a client. No matter how knowledgeable you are, if you ever become a candidate for public office, you cannot self-manage your campaign. You need a professional campaign manager. So you can't choose yourself, but you need to pick a real live person, not a celebrity, somebody you know or know of personally in your community. Again, we're not running for president, mayor, I'm sorry, we're not running for president, governor, or senate here. We're running for local office. Real person and a real office. And then you've got to go step by step and design a campaign plan. You'll describe the district where they're running and its politics. A real district, not hypothetical. The city or the district or the town or the school district. You'll need a real life description of the candidate. Or if you choose to do a campaign for a ballot issue, the real life aspects of that ballot issue. You'll need to write about how you're going to pull your voter history lists for things like door knocking and mailing campaigns. And increasingly, targeted text messaging has become very popular. You'll need a calendar. You'll need roles of people in the campaign, financial officer, campaign manager, and the candidate. And the candidate, remember, is not the campaign manager. So separate roles. So you'll need to be sure to describe that. We'll need a fundraising plan. It takes money. Money is the mother's milk of politics, a famous politician once said. That was Jesse Unruh of California, who was born in Kansas, by the way, very powerful Californian from back in the day. You're going to need some money, even for those local door knocking type campaigns. You've still got to get some money. You got to pay for your mailers. You got to pay your campaign manager. Don't use a friend or a family member. Hire a professional campaign manager. In fact, you are going to be the professional campaign manager. So if you were to actually do this, you'd want to get paid, right? So we need a fundraising plan. We need details on that. We need to know about your advertising, your door knocking plan, what they call Get Out the Vote or GOTV. I want to see a piece of campaign literature with an information shortcut a la Samuel Popkin's book. And the whole works will be due at the end of the semester instead of a term paper. So we're going to get into the real world. How would you manage a real campaign for a real person in a real jurisdiction? No hypotheticals. And keep it local, not statewide or national campaigns. So that's your political management assignment, if that applies to you. And so let me wrap up at this point. I hope that you have found this video useful. I really enjoyed teaching this class. I'm recording this video in spring of 2024, but I may reuse it as appropriate and certainly replace it when the time comes for a new video. But I look forward to getting to knowing you all better online. And in the meantime, I will indeed see you online.